Welcome to a couple of bunkies. We're doing a couple videos on our late Uncle Ted. We had the opportunity to have a couple hours of recording with him and my parents. We're going to share this recording with you while I design and make a laser-engraved picture and its frame for my uncle's family. This first story is what I'd like to call the moving rock.
And PJ was a lot like Dad. He was a practical joker. He used to mow stuff too. I can still remember when I was down there mowing. When we first moved there, Dad would rent a lawnmower from over by the Humpback Bridge. There was a place there he could rent a lawnmower. It was a 21-inch push lawnmower. And so Dad would go in there with a scythe, and he would cut it, and then he'd have me go in, and I would mow it. But you have to stand on the hind legs.
Well, you had to push it down so that the first time you cut, it would be way up in the air, but you'd have it way up on its back wheels because it was so rough and it had been plowed and then never fitted.
Never disc.
So it had all these big, huge, uneven spots.
Where all the snakes lived.
Where the snakes live underneath the furrows.
This place was unreal. So Dad would rent the mower for an hour. So we would hurry real fast, and we would cut some, and then we'd take the mower back, and then we just kept cutting and cutting and cutting, and finally it was acres and acres and acres. So we would have to, it was 14 hours with a 21-inch lawnmower, and my job was to cut it. And Dad had this famous thing to piss you off. He would holler, "Hey!" whether you were shoveling snow or whether you're cutting grass. If you'd move faster, you get done sooner.
Yeah, you
and it just, oh my God.
Move faster, you get done quicker.
Yeah, and so, you're pushing. And then she was too little to mow. But she would get me in trouble because she had this frickin' baby buggy with her. And she would run out through the field, and my dad would go, "Well, if she can run with a baby buggy, why can't you run with a frickin' lawnmower?" Yeah, so it's like, and
what did PJ do that messed you up that time? He kept moving. What did he keep moving? Oh, the rock!
The rock. He found a rock that was, oh my God, twice the size of this hassock. I don't know how he moved it. Well, I mowed the grass, and what happens when you're mowing, what do you call it? You're hypnotized.
Oh yeah.
By the noise, and
you get in the zone.
When you get in the zone, and it's like,
you're not really paying attention.
Sometimes you drive a car and you just wonder, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And it's the same way with the mower, and so because you're on it for hours doing this, and so I went around, I'd cut, and I went around again, and there was this frickin' rock, as big as that, right there, and I'm going, that rock wasn't here when I went. How did that happen? And so I went around again. And the rock moved to the second place where I cut. And I'm going, and I'm looking for the aliens, man. It's like, this was like, and all of a sudden I hear laughter, and it's PJ and her. And they had moved this rock out there, rolled it out there. And it was like, oh my God, how could I fall for this? Because I never thought that, those two kids would roll this giant boulder out there and then hide behind a tree and then laugh at their idiot older brother.
This next story is about my mother's dead duck.
Famous Uncle Hamel had a duck out the farm, and it got so that it couldn't walk. And the guy that ran the farm for Uncle Hamel couldn't take care of it anymore, and Uncle Hamel didn't want to kill it. So he gave it to me. Well, we had an old doghouse. We didn't have a dog anymore. And so I would carry the duck and put him in the doghouse, and I had a little bucket of water for him and a thing for putting corn and stuff like that in. And I would take this duck down below, down that steep hill under my arm, and get him over and walk clear across that field and get him to the creek, and I would set him right next to the creek, and as soon as he got in the creek, if I was standing near the creek, he would bite me, because when I was carrying him, I was taking care of him, but the minute I let him free and he could move around, then he would bite me.
Yeah.
Well, I had Dad's scythe that he cut grass with. Well, I would go down on the side of the hill where the grass was long, and I would take that scythe and I would cut real long grass because we didn't have hay or anything, and I'd cut that grass and put it in a bushel basket and compress it down and take it and put it in the doghouse, and I was always renewing. I mean, it was like a big job, but I was having fun, you know, and that duck was my friend. Well, I don't know how long we had. I had it most of the summer, I think. And I come home one day and I went to go down and got on my hands and knees by the doghouse to call him to get him to come out of the doghouse, and he wouldn't come, and he was in there and he was dead. And I was just devastated.
Yep.
Go forward 15 years, that far ahead in the future, Ted goes, that's the guy we bought the chlorophyll from that we killed Sheila's duck with. And I didn't know. I thought the duck had died of natural causes. And here, all these years, then Mom goes, yeah. And I go, what'd you do that for?
Well, Mom said winter was coming on. Sheila couldn't keep this up during the winter, and the duck is just, you know, it's like,
But go ahead. Now you're part of the story. How did you? What?
That's it.
I
think that was it.
I mean, it's like, Mom said you got to go in, and so I went into the pharmacy and I talked to the drugs, and I told him what, you know, we got this problem, we got an animal we got to put down and everything, and he said, oh, okay, and we can do that. He gave us this bottle and he said, put them in a cardboard box and just close the lid and put some of this in the rag in the thing there, and he said they won't have any pain, they'll just go to sleep. And that's what we did. 15 years later, I'm in trouble.
Oh God, that's funny.
Your mother was very protective.
Well, it seems like it hurt you more finding it was dead then than having it dead frozen to death or something like that. This next story I'd like to call Breaking the Ice.
We were down cleaning brush on down below, and the creek ran through, and the creek was frozen solid, and Dad and I and Sherry and Ted come along, and we were cleaning up the branches along the creek so it wouldn't dam up the creek in the spring. And so there's Ted, and he's got Dad's axe, and he decided he wanted to cut a hole in the ice.
Yeah, I was going to try fishing there.
So he's going like this, and he's going like this, and he's going like this. And Dad stops working, and he goes, girls, watch. He says, this is going to be funny. And so there's Ted going around a circle, and Dad goes, this is going to be like the cartoons. And he's going around, and he's going around, and he's going around. And pretty quick, the whole circle goes, and he goes in, just like cartoons. And Dad's just laying on the ground laughing.
I couldn't figure out what happened. Because I had 1 foot on the good ice, and 1 foot, you know, so I could hit between my legs and go around. So I thought, if I put all my weight on this side, you know, I'll be fine. You know, well, I don't realize it. All of a sudden, it just goes, and your body goes like that. You know, you can't get your body over.
Oh God, that was funny.
That water was cold.
Your dad was so funny.
The water was only like 2 foot, 3 foot deep at the deepest most places.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't very deep, but it was enough to go in and get wet. And when you're going on your side, you kind of wet your whole bottom and everything.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God.
And you know, the ice was soft enough that I didn't fall all the way in. I just fell, and it was like part of my body was over here, so it's just my, you know, from my ass, my waist down. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was funny. Because I've seen the guys ice fishing do it.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it's like, as long as you keep your weight, but, you know, it's like they knew what they were doing. It's like, I think those were pirates at one leg, and so all their weight was on, the peg was on
one
there.
One leg was lighter than the other. They could get away with it.
Yeah, that was, but it was just like when you see the people that are cutting the tree branch off and they have the ladder on the wrong side of the branch. It's like, how could I really, you know, it's like, can that really happen? You know, there's certain things, you know, it's like,
Well, you were a kid at the time.
No, he
No.
he was a teenager.
I was 17.
He was a teenager.
We appreciate you watching this video. Thank you.